Kappa. The kappa is a child-sized water demon from Japanese folklore, standing approximately 1 meter tall with the body of a humanoid turtle. This creature inhabits rivers and ponds throughout Japan, particularly featuring in tales from the Edo period when many drownings and disappearances of children were attributed to kappa attacks. Its most distinctive feature is a bowl-like depression called a sara on top of its head, which must remain filled with water to maintain the creature's supernatural power. The kappa has webbed hands and feet for swimming, a turtle shell on its back, and a sharp beak-like mouth. According to traditional accounts, it feeds by extracting a mythical organ called the shirikodama through its victim's anus, leading to a particularly disturbing death. Despite its murderous nature, the kappa follows strict rules of politeness deeply embedded in Japanese culture. If greeted with a bow, the creature will instinctively return the gesture, causing the water in its head bowl to spill out and rendering it powerless. Parents historically used kappa stories to keep children away from dangerous waters, and communities would leave cucumber offerings at rivers to appease these demons, as cucumbers were believed to be their favorite food. Knuckle of V. The Knuckle of V is considered the most malevolent creature in Scottish folklore, specifically originating from the Orkney Islands where it terrorized coastal communities. This horrifying demon appears as a grotesque fusion of horse and rider, but what makes it truly disturbing is that it has no skin whatsoever. Every muscle, tendon, and vein is completely exposed, with black blood visibly pulsing through white sinews stretched across red muscle tissue. The human torso grows directly from the horse's back without separate legs, and the massive head measures over 3 feet wide according to historical accounts, featuring a single enormous red eye and an oversized mouth. The creature's breath alone is weaponized, capable of wilting crops, sickening livestock, and causing epidemics among human populations. Walter Traill. Denison documented accounts of the Knuckle of V in his 1891 work for Scottish Antiquary, describing how Orkney Islanders blame the demon for droughts, crop failures, and mysterious animal diseases. The creature has one critical weakness. It cannot cross running fresh water, and islanders would flee to streams when the Knuckle of V appeared. According to Orcadian tradition, only the Mither of the Sea, a beneficent spirit, could control the Knuckle of I's rampages, keeping it confined to the ocean for most of the year. Manananggal. The Manananggal is a vampiric creature from Filipino folklore, particularly prevalent in the Visayan Islands, including the provinces of Capiz, Iloilo, and Antique. By day, this monster appears as a beautiful woman living normally among villagers, but at night she undergoes a horrifying transformation. Her torso completely separates from her lower body at the waist, and the upper half sprouts enormous bat-like wings that allow her to fly through the darkness, hunting for prey. The name derives from the Tagalog word tangle, meaning to remove or to separate, directly referencing this disturbing ability. The Manananggal extends a proboscis-like tongue that can reach several feet in length, using it to feed on sleeping victims. Most disturbingly, according to traditional accounts, the creature specifically targets pregnant women, piercing their wombs with its elongated tongue to consume unborn fetuses. In pre-modern Philippines, miscarriages and stillbirths were often attributed to Manananggal attacks, reflecting deep cultural anxieties surrounding pregnancy and infant mortality. The creature's lower body remains hidden while the upper half hunts, and this vulnerability provides the only reliable method of killing it. Villagers who discovered the hidden lower half would cover it with salt, garlic, or ash, preventing the upper body from reconnecting before sunrise, at which point the separated Manananggal would die from sunlight exposure. Lamia lamia originates from ancient Greek mythology as a monster with the upper body of a beautiful woman and the lower body of a serpent. According to classical sources including Diodorus Siculus and Plutarch, Lamia was originally a Libyan queen who attracted the love of Zeus, which provoked the jealous rage of his wife Hera. In revenge, Hera killed all of Lamia's children, and the overwhelming grief drove the queen mad, transforming her into a child, devouring monster who killed other mothers' children out of envious hatred. Zeus took pity on her suffering and granted her one mercy, the ability to remove her own eyes and store them in a jar, providing temporary relief from Hera's additional curse that she could never close her eyes or sleep. This meant Lamia experienced perpetual sleeplessness and was forced to witness her own monstrous actions unless she physically removed her eyes from their sockets. Greek mothers invoked Lamia's name to frighten misbehaving children into obedience, making her an effective disciplinary tool in ancient households. Later traditions transform Lamia from a singular tragic figure into an entire species of Lamia, depicted as seductive creatures who lured young men before devouring them. This evolution influenced medieval vampire traditions and established the archetype of the serpent woman monster that appeared throughout European folklore for centuries. Rakshasas are powerful demonic beings from Hindu and Buddhist mythology, appearing prominently in ancient Sanskrit epics, including the Ramayana and Mahabharata. These shapeshifters can assume any human or animal form, but their natural appearance is humanoid with distinctive animal features such as fangs, claws, and sometimes multiple heads stacked vertically. According to traditional texts, Rakshasas possess one identifying characteristic that persists even when shapeshifted. Their fingers bend backward from the palm in the opposite direction of human hands. These creatures are formidable warriors and accomplished sorcerers who feed on human flesh and delight in disrupting religious sacrifices and rituals. The most famous Rakshasa is Ravana, the demon king featured in the Ramayana, who is depicted with 10 heads and 20 arms, representing his immense power and knowledge. Rakshasas typically inhabit cremation grounds, abandoned temples, and other liminal spaces, becoming particularly active during twilight hours when the boundary between day and night blurs. Unlike purely evil demons in Western traditions, Rakshasas occupy a more complex moral position in Hindu mythology, with some following strict codes of honor, and others proving redeemable through spiritual devotion. They are vulnerable to blessed weapons wielded by gods or heroes, and can be defeated through divine intervention, though they represent significant obstacles to dharma and righteous living. Baba Yaga's hut. The hut belonging to the Slavic witch. Baba Yaga is itself a living creature, separate from its infamous inhabitant and equally disturbing in Russian and Eastern European folklore. According to traditional tales collected by Alexander Afanasiev and other folklorists, this wooden dwelling stands and moves on enormous chicken legs, typically described as 2 to 4 in number with yellow scales and massive talons. The hut constantly spins, dances, and wanders through the deepest forests, and it has no visible doors or windows until Baba Yaga or a visitor speaks a specific commanding rhyme. The structure is surrounded by a fence constructed entirely of human bones, topped with skulls whose empty eye sockets glow at night like lanterns, providing eerie illumination in the dark woods. The chicken legs are powerful enough to carry the hut at remarkable speeds, and the entire structure can rotate to face visitors or turn its back to unwelcome guests. Traditional accounts describe the hut's interior as impossibly larger than its exterior dimensions, suggesting magical spatial properties. Located at the boundary between the mortal world and the realm of death, the hut serves as a threshold that heroes must pass through in Russian fairy tales, representing a test or initiation. The structure obeys only Baba Yaga's commands and seems to possess its own awareness and personality, making it a genuinely autonomous entity rather than merely an enchanted building. Gashadakuro. The Gashadakuro is a giant skeleton yokai from Japanese folklore, formed from the collective bones and rage of people who died from mass starvation. According to Edo period accounts, these enormous skeletal monsters stand approximately 15 to 20 times human height, reaching estimates of around 90 feet or 27 meters tall. The creature is created when large numbers of people die simultaneously from famine, and their anger and suffering prevent their spirits from finding peace, instead fusing their remains into a single massive undead entity. The Gashadakuro is particularly associated with the aftermath of the Taira no Masakata rebellion in 940 CE, when thousands of people reportedly starved to death during the conflict's devastation. This yokai roams exclusively at night, producing a distinctive grinding sound described as gachi-gachi, made by its teeth gnashing together, which serves as the only warning of its approach. The monster is nearly invisible until it comes very close to victims, at which point it bites off their heads and drinks their blood. Most disturbingly, the Gashadakuro is considered indestructible by physical means, as no conventional weapon can harm it. According to traditional beliefs, the creature remains active until the collective rage that animates it naturally dissipates over time, which can take years or even decades. Shinto prayers and rituals may offer some protection, but the Gashadakuro represents unstoppable vengeance and the social consequences of allowing mass starvation to occur. Grootslang. The Grootslang is a legendary primordial creature from South African mythology, described as an enormous hybrid combining an elephant's head with a serpent's body. According to traditions among the Zulu and other indigenous groups in the region, the Grootslang measures between 60 and 90 feet in length, approximately 20 to 30 meters, making it one of the largest mythical creatures in African folklore. The monster is said to inhabit the deep cave systems of the Richtersveld, particularly a location known as the Wonder Hole, or bottomless pit near the Orange River along the South Africa and Namibia border. Traditional accounts describe the Grootslang as the god's first creation, made so powerful and intelligent that the deities feared their own work and split it into two separate creatures, elephants and serpents, though one original Grootslang escaped into the deep caves before the division. The creature possesses an elephant's head, complete with trunk and tusks, but its body extends into a massive serpentine form that coils through underground passages. According to legend, the Grootslang guards an enormous hoard of diamonds within its cave, and the tunnels connect to the sea, providing the monster an escape route. The creature is described as highly intelligent and cunning, reportedly making deals with treasure hunters who dare enter its domain. Stories of the Grootslang may have originated to explain the dangerous cave systems in diamond-rich areas and rationalize why certain valuable regions remained unexplored by miners. Dullahan. The Dullahan is a headless horseman from Irish folklore, classified as one of the unseelie fairies and serving as a death omen in Celtic mythology. This terrifying figure rides a massive black horse, sometimes depicted as headless itself, while carrying its own severed head under one arm or balanced on the saddle. According to Irish tradition, the head is in a state of decay with greenish flesh and a grotesque grin that stretches from ear to ear, while the eyes constantly dart about, able to see vast distances even in complete darkness. The Dullahan uses a human spine as a whip, cracking it to drive the horse forward, and in some accounts drives a coach called the coach-a-bower, made from human bones and skin, pulled by 6 black horses and carrying a coffin. When the Dullahan stops at a specific location, it speaks the name of a person who is about to die, and that individual dies instantly, with no possibility of prevention or escape. The creature is associated with Crom Dubh, an ancient Celtic deity, and appears on certain Irish festival nights to claim the souls of the dying. Gold is the only substance that can repel a Dullahan, reflecting the traditional fairy weakness to this metal in Irish folklore. The Dullahan's appearance influenced later legends, including Washington Irving's Headless Horseman in The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, though the Irish original is far more malevolent and supernatural, representing death's inevitability and the Celtic belief in fate. Wendigo. The Wendigo is a malevolent spirit from Algonquian indigenous mythology, particularly prominent among the Cree and Ojibwe peoples of the northern forests in Canada. According to traditional beliefs, a Wendigo is created when a human resorts to cannibalism, especially during periods of winter starvation, causing an irreversible spiritual corruption and physical transformation. The creature is described as gaunt and emaciated despite eating constantly, with some accounts depicting it as towering 15 feet or more in height with antlers or horns protruding from its skull. Its appearance includes glowing eyes, a lipless mouth that exposes all its teeth, and frostbitten gray skin stretched tight over protruding bones. The Wendigo's defining characteristic is insatiable hunger that grows stronger with each victim it consumes, and some traditions describe the creature growing taller with every meal, ensuring it remains perpetually starving regardless of how much it eats. The monster can mimic human voices to lure victims and moves faster than any human despite its skeletal appearance, while smelling of death and decay. According to Algonquian belief, the Wendigo's heart is made of ice, symbolizing its emotional coldness and spiritual death. Anthropologists documented cases of Wendigo psychosis, a culture-bound syndrome where individuals feared they were transforming into Wendigos, though modern scholars debate the phenomenon's prevalence. The Wendigo represented cultural taboos against cannibalism, while embodying the dangers of greed, selfishness, and isolation in harsh winter environments where survival often meant life or death choices. Abarimon. The Abarimon are a legendary race of people described by Pliny the Elder in his Natural History, written in 77 CE, as inhabitants of the Himalayan mountain region known as Imaus. According to Pliny's account, these beings appear human in most respects, except for one disturbing anatomical difference. Their feet are turned completely backward, with ankles and toes pointing in the opposite direction from normal human feet. Despite this seemingly debilitating condition, the Abarimon are described as incredibly fast runners, so swift that normal humans cannot possibly catch them, suggesting their reverse feet somehow enhance, rather than hinder their mobility. Pliny reports that they live in a harmony with wild animals in their remote mountain valleys, showing no fear of beasts and experiencing no aggression from them. The most peculiar aspect of the Ibarimon, according to ancient sources, is their complete inability to survive outside their native mountain environment, as they can only breathe the air of their specific valley and die if relocated to lower elevations or different regions. Their backward footprints would have confused ancient trackers attempting to follow their trails, as the prints would appear to lead in the opposite direction of actual travel. The Ibarimon became part of the medieval tradition of monstrous races, depicted in bestiaries and world maps, representing the exotic and mysterious peoples believed to inhabit the unexplored edges of the known world. Modern scholars suggest these accounts may represent garbled descriptions of real isolated populations encountered by travelers, combined with misunderstood cultural practices or physical conditions. Juboko. The Juboko is a vampiric tree yokai from Japanese folklore that grows on sites where many people died violently in battle, nourished by blood-soaked soil. These supernatural trees are particularly associated with battlefields from Japan's Sengoku period, which lasted from 1467 to 1615 and saw near constant warfare across the islands. According to traditional accounts, a jubako appears indistinguishable from ordinary trees such as zelkova or camphor until it activates to capture prey, at which point its branches move independently like tentacles with enough strength to pierce human flesh. The tree drains victims' blood directly through its bark, storing the accumulated blood inside its hollow trunk, and if the bark is cut, human blood flows out instead of sap. Travelers passing near a jubako may be suddenly seized by branches that wrap around them and inject hollow tendrils to extract their blood, leaving dried corpses or scattered bones around the tree's base. The creature can remain dangerous for decades or even centuries after the original battle, as the blood stored in its trunk sustains it indefinitely. The only reliable method of identifying a jubako before it attacks is to cut into the bark and observe whether blood or normal sap emerges, though this discovery often comes too late for the investigator. The jubako represents Japanese Buddhist concepts about how violent death corrupts the land itself and prevents peaceful spiritual transition, while also serving as a warning about haunted battlefield sites that travelers should avoid. Akrabomelu. The Akrabomelu, or scorpion men, are among the oldest documented mythical creatures in human history, appearing in Mesopotamian mythology dating back to approximately 2100 BCE in the Epic of Gilgamesh. These beings combine a human upper body including head, torso, and arms with the lower body of a giant scorpion complete with a venomous tail capable of delivering instant death. According to Tablet 9 of the Epic of Gilgamesh, the Akrabomelu are described as terrifying guardians, whose heads touch the sky while their feet reach down to the underworld, indicating enormous scale spanning leagues in height. They serve as sentinels, guarding the gate of Mount Mashu and the tunnel through which the sun god Shamash travels during nighttime hours, positioned to prevent unauthorized mortals from accessing divine realms. The epic describes both male and female Akrabomelu stationed together at the gate, and their mere gaze is said to be fatal to ordinary humans who lack divine heritage. When the hero Gilgamesh approaches seeking the immortal Utnapishtim, the scorpion men initially threaten him, but ultimately allow passage after recognizing his partly divine nature and the legitimacy of his quest. Ancient Babylonian cylinder seals depict these creatures, providing visual evidence of how Mesopotamians imagined them. The Akrabomelu influenced later Greek and Mediterranean scorpion hybrid creatures, and represented the concept of insurmountable barriers between mortal and divine worlds, while also embodying legitimate fears of scorpion stings that were common and often deadly in the ancient Near East. Kuchisake-onna. The Kuchisake-onna, or slit-mouthed woman, is a modern Japanese urban legend that originated in the 1970s and caused genuine panic among school children, with some schools implementing safety measures and group walking policies. According to the legend, she appears as an attractive woman, wearing a surgical mask, which is common and unremarkable in Japanese culture, allowing her to blend seamlessly into crowds. When she approaches a victim, typically children or young adults walking alone, she removes her mask to reveal a mouth grotesquely slit from ear to ear, then asks, "Am I pretty?" in a way that offers no safe response. If the victim answers no, she immediately kills them with the large scissors or knife she carries. But answering yes results in her using the blade to slit the victim's mouth to match her own disfigurement. Some versions of the legend claim she was a beautiful woman mutilated by a jealous husband, while others suggest different origins, but all agree she runs at supernatural speed that makes escape impossible. During the height of the panic in the 1970s, reports of sightings spread rapidly through Japanese schools, and some versions claim she can be temporarily delayed by saying average when asked about her appearance or by throwing candy, which distracts her. The legend has evolved with contemporary times, with recent versions depicting her wearing COVID-19 masks instead of surgical masks. The Kuchisake Onna reflects anxieties about feminine beauty standards, the consequences of vanity and judgment, and represents broader post-World War II trauma manifesting in Japanese urban folklore. Ushioni. The Ushioni is a particularly aggressive and dangerous yokai from Japanese coastal folklore, combining the head of an ox or oni demon with the body of a giant spider. According to regional traditions from western Japan, particularly in Shiman and Wakayama prefectures, this creature inhabits beaches, rivers, and coastal areas where it actively hunts humans without provocation. The monster's body diameter measures approximately 6 to 9 feet across, with either 6 or 8 spider legs depending on the account, while sharp horns protrude from his demonic ox head. The Ushioni's breath is venomous and causes wasting diseases resembling plague, with victims suffering prolonged agonizing deaths rather than quick ends. Some regional variations describe the creature with a tiger's body instead of a spider, but all versions emphasize its extreme aggression and the impossibility of killing it with ordinary weapons. The Ushioni frequently works in tandem with other yokai, particularly the Nure Onna, a snake woman who lures unsuspecting travelers to the water's edge where the Ushioni waits to attack. These creatures are most active during summer months, and traditional accounts suggest only Shinto purification rituals can temporarily banish them from an area. The Ushioni served as a warning about dangerous coastal regions and potentially rationalized seasonal illness outbreaks that coincided with warmer weather. This yokai influenced later Japanese monster designs in kaiju films and represents the ocean's hidden threats and the unpredictable violence of nature in island communities dependent on coastal resources. If you want to see more, click the video on screen now.